And welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie and our good friend Dan talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NIHL. And this is our second NIHL team special for the 25-26 season. We've already done the whole Seahawks one. If you haven't seen that already, go check that one after this one. And we've got two special guests on this one, a double whammy interview, one after another. I interviewed Rhodes-Mitchell King and his good friend Louie Newell, who are really excited for next season. So two interviews in one for this Telford special. They both agreed to come on. I thought one of them wasn't going to be able to come on, but they both agreed on the same night. So we got them done. And yeah, we're going to talk about their season last year. We'll cut to the interviews, and then after that, we'll talk about the roster they've put together this season, or Tommy Watkins has put together, some of the new players they've brought in, and we'll talk our expectations for Telford next season. We'll finish with our ones to watch as we get one pick each. So yeah, please do follow if you haven't already. We're going to do a team special for every single team. I'm absolutely shattered. It was my birthday the other day, and I've been so busy since. Dan, it was your birthday the other day as well, so we're both a year older. And Charlie, you're not till January, are you?
No, I'm just vibing.
Yeah,
Still a child.
he is the youngest out of all of us. But yeah, let's we go into it then. So last season for Telford, a really tough start. Probably one of their worst starts they've had since the National. It probably is the worst start they've had since the National League. And they had some import problems. Skaleski got injured. They then obviously signed Yokoyama, and that didn't really work out too much. He then went to Romford and did a pretty good job over there. And they brought in the duo of Henderson and Thompson, and that kind of changed their season around. But all season long, they just had troubles in defence. And I think, Dan, if we're starting anywhere, it's got to be that defence because we talk about it in the interview, but Louie Newell and Adam Hardin ended up having to step in D. That's how much they struggled.
Yeah, I mean, having your D is so important. Obviously, it's a very hard position to play, and you obviously have to be sort of brought up into that position to sort of play it. And obviously, you've got Harden there that's a centre. He's obviously got that defensive part of his game, but it's no match to an actual D man. So
Never
fair
played it before.
play to fair play to them for obviously doing with what they had. Fair play to Harden and obviously Newell as well for doing their bit in D for the club. That's obviously shows what type of people they are and what they were like last season. But yeah, they're always going to be on the back foot when you've sort of got that many D problems, and hopefully they've gone into this season sort of hopefully sorted that out.
Yeah. But flicking on the other side of it, Charlie, after having quite a tough start to the season, they ended up getting Henderson and Thompson from the Polish league, and they came as a duo. They played together before. No one really knew what to expect. We knew Watkins has a pretty good track record of getting imports in, and he will replace them if he needs to. And Eric Henderson played 42 games. He got 84 points, 2 points a game. Thompson did get a little injury. He only played 31, but he got 62. So they both got 2 points a game when coming in. They've never played nationally before. They just single-handedly changed that whole Telford mentality, really.
Yeah, I think it was a big addition. Like obviously had a club legend in Luca. I think that's fair to say. He was there
Yeah.
for a period of time, but he did so well for them in that little period. Yokoyama, he just didn't quite work out, but we saw how good he was at Romford. But then they brought in these two established boys, and Telford typically have been a team which in the second half of the season they always get rolling, which is why you always see them at Coventry. I don't know if they were there this year. Can't
No,
remember, but
No, they won't.
they nearly got there. But they're always a team which gets hot in the second half of the year, and they did that again this year. And I thought both of the imports who came in, Henderson and Thompson, were phenomenal. And I actually do think Thompson has a gear to go up. I think that guy's insane when he's on it. He got nearly a goal a game, and his best season in the U Sports was 40 points. So I think he has got a gear to go up. But them two signings really did change their season around. And for me, one of their most underrated players of the season was Harry Ferguson, who played on the line with them. He was Mr. Consistent from the first game week to the last game week, and I think he was one of them guys who stepped up when Telford really needed him in them tough games.
Yeah, I bet he was kind of like he got a bit more points and probably had a little bit better season, but similar to Aleph, where he would play between the two imports, and you still do have to play at a good level to be able to get those points and make it work. And 52 points, 52 pims in 54 games. I think that's his season best as well. So he had a really good year. But for me, and I know Charlie for you as well, but we'll come to Dan. Their player of the season for me was Rhodes-Mitchell King. Played all 54 games, got his highest ever goals. He got highest ever points. Scored more points than his brother. And he just really took charge of that top D spot, didn't he, for Telford? Playing ridiculous amounts of minutes in games, there was a lot of pressure on him, and he certainly delivered. And yeah, he was in Charlie's team of the year. That just says it all, really.
Yeah, I mean, you have those spots open in D, and you need a guy to step up and obviously take those positions. And obviously, you got Rhodes-Mitchell King there. He's a young D man. Um, he managed to get that two-way with Belfast. It didn't really He didn't really play for Belfast a lot. He trained with them obviously at pre-season and stuff like that. But he's obviously turned a few heads just early on last season, the season before. And obviously this season he's really taken that role of being that top guy that Tom Watkins can rely on. And at such a young age, that's so big for him to obviously be able to take that load. Obviously, like you said, he played 54 games. As a young guy, you obviously expected to do that. Obviously, injuries happen, we know, but obviously in D as well, you're going to be getting played a lot of minutes with the D men that they had out. So fair play to him for doing the full 54 games. And yeah, I mean he's got another step to go up. You talk about Thompson, but Rhodes-Mitchell King, the ceiling is very high for him, and I think this season could be a big one for him if they can really sort that D out and get a bit more depth in there and sort of start playing these guys a bit more evenly on the ice.
Yeah, and even though they didn't get to Coventry, I don't think anyone expected them to because of how stacked that group was. Obviously, with Leeds, Hull, Peterborough, and Telford. They actually were quite unlucky, Charlie. Well, you don't like the word lucky and unlucky, but they went to overtime three times. They lost two penalty shootouts, and they lost in an overtime to a Kieran Brown breakaway. It's not like they got absolutely whitewashed like Sheffield did in our group. They put up a fight. They did get a few points, but they just couldn't get those wins. And I don't think that was a fair representation of how well they actually did in that second half of the season.
Yeah, I think Telford are a good team, and they always kind of get back going in playoffs, and they always have their depth pieces turn up in playoffs and in them games. And I think I think yeah, it was one of them seasons where it was a season of two halves. The first half of the year just wasn't really at it. Always had players out. Second half of the year, they were back on it. They were competing with the top teams again, and that's the fun of playoffs is them overtimes turned into wins, and they could be at Coventry. But that's the fine edge line of the playoffs, and I think there was a lot of young players in that team. Newell, Rhodes-Mitchell, King, Bryn, and all of them boys who would have learned a lot from last season. They probably not some of them not, but some of them would have been given opportunities they probably wouldn't have got because there were injuries and there were meant players not able to play. Ryan Leese as well, another really good young talent, and they were able to step up and really grow through that. So I think it was a positive year for Telford last year. It's obviously a different era for them as a club. They're not winning the leagues anymore, but that's understandable considering
Go
they
through
haven't
that.
got the highest attendances anymore, and they're not this powerhouse money team, which they were in that kind of era of the EPL, and then they had them older boys, but they're developing talents as they always do really well. And I'm sure someone like Rhodes-Mitchell King has an eye on the Elite League, and I think he's developing on that path with Telford to get there.
Yeah, your time's come to an end at some point. Leeds fans won't like me saying this, but their time at some point will come to an end where they're not going to be able to win the league every single year. And I think those kind of veterans of Telford have passed, and they've got a new crop of players coming in. And maybe Rhodes. I'm not saying he's going to reach that level, but he could be their new Jonathan Weaver, and he'll become a big legend of English hockey. Who knows? But we'll cut. Anything else to add before we cut to the interviews?
It was an interesting year in the goalie tandem for
Yeah,
me.
well,
I think,
tandem, just Brad
yeah,
Day.
exactly.
Just goalie.
I think this was a year where Brad Day took his first big step back. In an honest way, I think 54 games was probably a little bit
That's
too much for him.
ridiculous.
Um, and yeah, he got peppered in games at times, and he had a lot of shots on him this year. And I think when you didn't quite have the decor, for example, you were playing Adam Harding and Louie Newell the whole year at D with a 16, 17-year-old Ryan Lease and Deacon Fielder and all of that. They were missing a lot in the D zone. And I think a lot of a lot of shots got put on Brad Day.
Yeah,
And I think, as we'll mention in the second half, they needed a backup last year, which they didn't really have who could step in. And
yeah,
so I'm glad Brad Day, fingers crossed, going to have to play 54 out of 54 because if you look at his last three seasons, 54 games, 50 games, and 56 games. The guy's just absolutely choked up minutes, and it does take your toll. It does take
yeah.
your
I
toll,
can
especially when
guarantee he was
I
playing
don't know
through a
whether it
bit of
works or not,
injuries.
but yeah, if he's working as well as doing that, which I would guess he is, it takes its toll. So yeah, I'm glad he's got a backup this year who can support him. But I
Yeah.
think that was a big factor as well, is not having a goalie. And that's not even including playoff games. You had the six playoff games and he played 60 plus preseason. You're looking at about 63 games.
Yeah, that's nuts. So I've spoke to Brad quite a few times. Really nice guy, and he's always honest as well. So I'm sure he would say the same thing. I think next season, well, we'll get onto it after the interviews because it is a great little segment of new players coming in for Telford. Quite exciting. So we've got two exciting interviews to get through first. So enjoy that. We'll start with Rhodes-Mitchell Kings, and then we'll go into Newell's, and then we'll talk about their roster signed up for next season. So enjoy the interviews. And welcome back. We've got another special interview for our Telford Tigers special, and I'm delighted to be joined by Rhodes-Mitchell King. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
We've had your brother on, so it's nice to get both of you on this time to get your, I guess, your journey, your hockey journey as a defenseman. Why did you go with defenseman and not a forward like your brother?
Well, I didn't really have the choice. I mean, when I was joined Cov Academy and under 10s, they were like, "Oh, you're big enough. We'll stick you back there." And I don't know. I've just been D ever since, I guess.
Nice on this. It is a bit of a advantage getting that build and height, I think, from a young age, to kind of fit into that hockey. How did you find playing in the juniors, growing up in Coventry?
Yeah, no, it was a good setup there. They obviously tried to sort of mingle all the teams. So the tens would train with the 12s, the beginners would train with the tens. They tried to work on everyone's development as a whole, and obviously it was pretty local for me because I live in Rugby, which is like
Yeah,
25 minutes from Cov. So it was nice to have a rink nearby. But no, it was definitely a well set up junior system, and probably still is today. I'm not sure, not too in touch with it anymore, but no, it's definitely a good junior system.
just as much ice time as possible. I can imagine when your brother got the chance to go abroad, you wanted to do the exact same.
Yeah, he was looking at going to Canada before I was sort of looking, but once I'd finished my GCSEs, I'd decided, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That's where the real development comes.
Nice one. And he spoke about his kind of development in Canada. What was it like as a defenseman, getting a lot more ice time, I guess, on the ice pretty much every day, whilst doing some studies as well?
Yeah, no, obviously it's a whole different world over there. They've got specific D coaches, they've got
Oh
skating
wow.
coaches. It is completely different, and it's obviously helped me develop into the player I am.
Yeah.
I think my first season over there, we only had three actual defensemen.
Oh
So you can
wow.
bet I was getting plenty of ice time in
Yeah.
the game weekends we had.
prepared you kind of for the National League over in Telford. We've seen quite a lot of players actually this off season have come from that USPHL Premier League, and you had a season in that league. So do you want to talk a bit about that league for the people watching who don't really know too much about it? Because the Osborne brothers, they played a couple seasons there. I know a couple of the Bristol boys as well who's joined this season. So how was your time in that league?
Well, I was actually playing forward in my time
Really?
there. Yeah, yeah. We had 8 or 9 D-men signed, and my coach was like,
Oh.
"Look, you're one of the younger players. If you want to be getting more ice time, I'm gonna have to put you up front." And I thought, "Oh, I'll give fourth line winger a go." And not
But
not the
how?
biggest fan of it, but no, the USPHL is a good league. It's tier 3 juniors, so
Okay.
typically people that finish high school will try and go into tier 3 and work their way up as they sort of age. I think 21's the oldest you can be playing
Oh,
juniors over there, and it's quite a popular league for especially people over here, but other European countries to go and play. It's a good standard. Obviously, it covers the whole of America. I
yeah.
don't know how many divisions there are, but there are hundreds of teams in the league, and you've got the Premier, you've got the Elite, so there's plenty of pathways for development.
And I noticed you play quite a lot of games in there as well, which is good. You're young and you're just getting loads of minutes in the belt.
Yeah, that's the important thing, really, isn't it? You want to be playing as much as possible, and same as while I was in Canada, we were on the ice every morning, and I was still studying on my side, but a lot of the guys either didn't do anything at all and were just hitting the gym every day, or a couple of the guys worked, a couple of the guys were in school.
Nice one. And then after your little spell in the USPHL, you got the opportunity to represent your country for the under 20s. And we always do this. We look on the team which you played with, and you're just looking at some of the youngsters in there, Liam Stenton, Liam Steele, who's obviously just joined the Steel Dogs. You got Harewood, Hopkins, Alex Graham, just so many talents. How was it being able to play with all those guys?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, I went into that tournament not expecting a lot really. I thought I'd be
Really?
rotating in on the third line,
Yeah.
but Keno and Grubby and Danny, they're 3 great coaches, and they gave me my chance, and I think I did pretty well. It was a great tournament. I'm pretty disappointed it finished the way it did. I mean, we were going for gold, and we could have had Italy on the last day for the gold medal, but we ended up throwing a game that we should have won against Romania.
Yeah.
But that was pretty unfortunate. But no, overall, it was a great trip with lots of talent there.
Yeah, and then you got your opportunity, your first kind of real men's league season, with the Telford Tigers. Was that swayed a bit because your brother actually left that season, didn't he, to Peterborough? Was that it was kind of did he have nothing but good things to say about the club?
Well, it's funny actually. I went to when I got back from Wisconsin. I went to one of the summer league sessions that
Oh, okay,
Austin was going to, and obviously I'd known Tommy for a bit. I'd grown up playing with Sam pretty much my whole life, and Tom goes to me. He's like, "Oh, do you know what you're doing next season?" I go, "Not yet. I'm still deciding whether I want to go back abroad or whether I want to give it a shot in the national." He was like, "Well, you can have that stall right there," and then it pretty much just unfolded from there. And next thing you know, I'm signed, and 3 years later, I'm still here.
nice one. And how did you find that kind of first season? Because you played a lot of juniors, played with a lot of players who were kind of around your age. You talked about the cap at 21 years old. What was it like then playing with a lot of veteran guys as well in that team, actually, and there still is.
It's a big step up. I mean, it is definitely something to get used to. I'm sure I did have a break-in period, although I may not have noticed it. I'm sure it may have been visible, but as you say, there's a lot of experienced guys. I mean, I was walking into a room with Jonathan Weaver, Scott McKenzie, Silverthorne, Rick Plant. You know, they've
Yeah,
been
Ricky.
around for a while. They've been playing the game for a while. They know a lot, really. But no,
Yeah.
it's always good to sort of bounce your skills off one another and learn from the experienced guys, I guess.
Did they really kind of obviously being a young defenseman and they were those veteran forwards? Did they really kind of test you? Because I feel when I was watching Ricky Plan, obviously the older he got, you just cannot push him off the puck. Like players would try and push him, he wouldn't even move. Like what was it like trying to defend them in practice and those drills?
Obviously, a big change from just playing against people my age. I mean, A couple of the guys on the team used to call Ricky Tugboat because you can't move him.
Can't
You
move
really
him.
can't. It's crazy. Like looking at him, you wouldn't think he would have been
No.
as good of a hockey player as he is. But no, it's definitely great playing against obviously new people, and it's a learning curve. I had to make that stuff up at some point. I'm just
Yeah.
happy that it went smoothly.
Nice one. And then that 23-24 season, it was for me, you and Archie were well, Archie got brought in midway through the season. I'd say you and Archie were kind of the top two in that team, and you had a really good end to the season. You made obviously Coventry. Well, we will touch on the playoffs. I know it was gutting and heartbreaking, but what was that like getting that Coventry experience in front of everyone and just playing on the main stage?
Well, as you can expect, that's like the type of game you play the game for. I
Yeah,
mean, there's nothing quite like playing in front of a packed arena like that.
it's the best
It's an
weekend, man.
experience. Yeah, it's definitely an experience.
And what was it like? I know it was really tough for the guys, but I bet everyone was just so gutted after knowing that you probably should have still had a chance in that overtime period.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the room and no one really knew what to say. We were all just stumped. Tommy was obviously pissed off that the ref wouldn't go and speak to him and give an explanation
Yeah,
afterwards. And I don't know, we were all just sat there, kind of, what the hell just happened?
yeah.
Because everyone on our team, a lot of the people in the ring knew that that puck didn't go in.
It was my video which went bonkers online, and
Yeah,
straight. I've heard that apparently all the players were looking at it, and it was like
yeah.
if only they had the video replay. And thank goodness they have it now. But it's obviously taken something like that for it to
Yeah,
eventually be brought into the game.
yeah. Too little, too late, really, isn't it?
Oh, well, actually, what was your brother saying about it? Because he was obviously on the other side of it, playing with Peterborough. So did he chirp you a little bit for it? So he went
Not
on to
about
win it as well.
not about the goal. He didn't. He did chirp me about winning the tournament. I was like, oh yeah, but we still won the final though, and it's like we didn't. We weren't given the chance to play in the final. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously, there's going to be a bit of back and forth there. I mean, that's what siblings are for, isn't it? But he didn't give me any grief on the goal, even though he got credited for the goal and he was sitting in the neutral zone.
Yeah, I know. Let's get on to playing against your brother then. What was it like? I can imagine did you play together in juniors? You
We've
didn't even
we've
play
not
together.
played a single competitive season together.
So you've only played against each other.
That's right, yeah.
How's that defending against him? Did you often get matched against him kind of with the lines?
I don't think there's any intentional match in there.
Yeah.
I obviously when we're against each other, we do hold a little mental tally of the one-on-ones and the corner battles and whatnot, and we give each other chirps back and forth during the game. But no, it's there's nothing hostile about it. Obviously, you're playing for different teams, so there's going to be competitiveness, and I think we're both competitive at nature anyway. So
Yeah.
it's it's good. I do like playing against him when it comes to it.
No, nice. Hopefully, you'll get the chance at some point to play with each other. I think that will be quite fun. Last season, then, for me and Charlie were saying it was kind of your big season. Obviously, Archie got that spot with Coventry that opened up that top D kind of spot for you. Did Tommy have a chat before the season? Obviously, they didn't sign an import defenseman; they went with the forwards. Did he say kind of this was your big opportunity now as that main defenseman?
Well, not really. He did. He was. I know he was trying to get an import defenseman on
Yeah,
board, and he's managed to do that for this coming
yeah,
seasons, which is great. But I knew like whatever the roster was going to be looking like, I was like I'm happy playing as many minutes as I need to. There wasn't really
yeah.
anything set in stone. It's like, oh, I'm going to need you to do this. I'm going to need you to do that. It's kind of I just play it how it lies, really.
And how did you find having kind of that extra responsibility? I can imagine you had a bit more ice time last season and you got on the power play as well. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of minutes, plenty of minutes. I was definitely
With all the defensive troubles as well, injuries and everything.
oh yeah, don't even get me started on the injuries. People were in and out of the lineup like it was nothing. But no, as I say, it's not like I don't like playing a lot, but my body does feel it by the end of the season.
To be fair, I will give credit. I thought Harden and Newell did really well actually when they came in and covered defense, considering they haven't really played that in their career.
Yeah, no, I ended up playing a lot of the season with Hards,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't know what to expect when Tommy put him in
Yeah.
D, but I was pleasantly surprised. He's such an easy player to play with, and same with Louie. I've played with Louie as long as I can remember. I don't even remember meeting the guy. We've just always sort of known each other. And when he got put back in D, I thought, oh, maybe we could get a bit creative with this. But no, we didn't play all too much together. But no, I was pleasantly surprised with how both of them performed at the back end.
Yeah, we gotta say, well, me and my brother were saying, especially near the second half of the season when Telford were a few points off Seoul, I think it was 4 or 5 points behind them in
Yeah, it
ninth
was
spot.
it was close, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you had to really kind of you had a couple of big games against them as well. And that second half of the season, obviously you brought in Henderson and Thompson, which was massive ads, but kind of the whole team just kind of shifted. Even though you had a few of those injuries, you just come together and you started picking up some really, really big wins. And Telford's always a really tough place to play. You're a really good home team. So could you kind of feel that momentum as a player, even though you're a few points behind, you were going to have a really strong end to the season?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what point it was, but something just clicked halfway through the year, and we all came together more as a team.
Yeah,
We were showing up more in training. We were doing more like away from the rink, and it was just generally a better atmosphere in the room. And obviously, I don't need to tell you how good Hendo and Tomo are. They definitely made a difference. They're two incredible players, and we're lucky to have them back for next season. But no, it was. I think the morale was just a lot higher, and Tommy was of the idea that we are making playoffs here. There
yeah.
wasn't a what if we make playoffs here. It was we are making playoffs, and that was just sort of the mindset we had.
We'll touch on Tommy a bit because he's been around for ages. He's won countless trophies, and yeah, what's he been like to help your development kind of across men's league? And we've definitely seen a massive improvement in your game the last 3 years as well.
Yeah, no, as I say, Tommy's a fantastic coach. He's got the resume to back it up as well. I mean,
Yeah,
he's played the game for however long and he's won however many trophies. He is an incredible coach. He's harsh, but he's fair. Like
yeah,
he's tough on the boys when he needs to be, but he's not over the top or out of line or anything. And he's always for developing his players. And if they get an opportunity elsewhere, then he's not going to hold them back.
yeah. You mentioned Henderson and Thompson coming back. First of all, I bet you're buzzing that those two are back because
Absolutely, yeah.
they, just together they created such a good partnership. I think Thompson's kind of got that scoring edge. He's got that little bit of ego about him, swagger, and then Henderson's the guy who calms it all down, who can make those plays as well. And they just seem to complement each other so well from that Polish team they're playing for.
Yeah, I think they played with each other before that
In
as well,
Canada, they might
if
have
I'm
as well,
correct,
yeah.
yeah. But either way, they had the chemistry when they rocked up, and it gave us the boost we
Off
needed, I
the
think.
ice as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Two great guys off the ice. Love to be around them, and as I say, I'm happy to have them back for this season.
Nice one. And then you mentioned that import D man, Caelan McPhee played in a very good U Sports team the last few seasons. And he seems like that kind of shutdown defenseman, really good skater as well. You haven't played with an import defenseman, I don't think, yet. So how would
No,
that
no, I
be?
haven't.
Whether I don't know whether you'll be playing next to him, but I'm sure you'll be at some point in the season being able to play on a line with him, whether that's penalty kill, power play, or 5-on-5.
Yeah, as I say, it's always great to have an import D just
Yeah,
alongside us. Whether I'm playing with them or not, it doesn't really matter to me as long as we have a lot more depth. I
yeah,
think that was our
that's the
sort of
key.
the way we struggled the last couple of years. We were very short on the back end, and we didn't really have the numbers. I guess like
Yeah.
people in and out with injuries. It's not great always having to switch up the lines. It's better to have something sort of consistent. So hopefully bringing in an import D man will give us some more consistency. Whether I'm playing with him or not, I'm not sure whether he's a righty or a lefty. I can't remember, but
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah,
no, I think we'll find out when the season starts. I'm sure Tommy will try a couple different pairings and see
yeah.
what clicks.
Well, the depth. He's definitely brought in some really good kind of depth pieces to the team, and we'll start with the goalkeeping. Obviously, Ben Norton's come in, and I can imagine you've have you played with Ben Norton? Didn't he play GB under 20s?
Yeah. I think GB under 20s. I played with him in Quebec in with England a while back. I think under
Oh, nice.
13s in the Pee Wee tournament. But no, me and Ben are pretty close friends. Our families are quite close, so I get on well with Ben, and he's a hell of a goalie. So I'm sure he's going to help us out.
He is. He's got a point to prove, and I think this will be good. When I interviewed Tom Byrne, we were joking about how many games Brad has had to play over the last few
Yeah.
seasons. So I think he'll actually quite like the fact that he's got someone who can take up a few of the games, but there still be that kind of healthy rivalry between them to get that starter spot as well.
Yeah, I think it'll actually help us out more as well because I'm sure Brad doesn't want to be playing every minute of every game in the season.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if they're splitting games or splitting weekends or whatever, then it'll sort of give Brad the rest he needs, I guess. And I
Yeah.
think he's got a kid on the way at the start of the season. So if
Yeah.
he needs to take some time off for that, it's not like we're stuck in the mud. I mean, Ben's still a perfectly capable goalie, and I reckon it will help us out having two solid goalies between the pipes.
Absolutely, and the decor as well. Um, you needed depth last season. Well, Tom's brought in a couple guys. You've got Price on the full time. Rose should be fully healthy, hopefully going into next season. And then Henry, who looks quite exciting, a bit like yourself. He's a big 6'2" defenseman who's played in Finland. So it's a lot more comfortable, I think, within that decor, adding that import defenseman as well. And I'm sure that makes you feel a bit more comfortable in that decor as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe it'll mean I'm not playing 30 minutes a night every weekend, but no, I'm excited to see some of the new guys that Tommy's brought in.
Yeah, and the one I've picked out, who I think is going to be really exciting, is Patrick Brown. Now, obviously, he's come in again, scored some really good points in the league he played in. I think it was the U Sports. What's it going to be like having that kind of guy to get on that second line center, or you may have a free import line. Who knows how they'll play it? But kind of that import depth. What's it like? I guess what I'm trying to say is, how is it having four imports instead of three? I guess.
I don't know all too much about our two new imports, both Patrick and Kalen,
Yeah.
but like, how bad can they be? I mean, they're from over the pond. I mean, as I said,
Oh,
it's a different world over there. I'm sure
yeah.
they've got plenty of experience, plenty of knowledge, and they've played in the right leagues to sort of come over here and show us what they've got. I mean, what's not to look forward to? But then again, you've got four imports on every team in the league, so
Yeah.
every
We're going to be
team's going to
playing
be
against a
having
couple more of those import
exactly, yeah.
forwards. It'll be a good challenge.
Like I've seen quite a few uh, new faces joining the league, and it's going to be interesting. I think the league's definitely going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, I really hope so. It's definitely going in the right direction. Who's kind of a ones we always like to ask a player on the specials? Who's kind of the guy you're really looking forward to seeing develop next season? Kind of your little ones to watch within the team, who may be coming up through the ranks.
Oh, I don't know. I'm inclined to say my mate Louie, who I'm pretty sure you've got him on later this evening,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
to have him back in forward, that's sort of where he's grown up playing. I mean,
yeah.
he was sort of held on chains last year on the back end. He didn't have as much freedom to do what he's capable of. So might be biased that I'm just saying my mate, but
No,
it's going to be
he
good to
had
have him back in forward.
thing is, he had in that 23-24 season when he was able to play forward the whole season, he got a lot of points. But then last year he was held back a bit because he covered in defence. So with the defensive depth you've got, it'll be nice for him to hopefully be able to play that forward role the whole season.
Yeah, no, I've been speaking with him, and I think the plan is for him to be playing
Yeah,
forward full time. I don't think he'd be best pleased if he was put on the back end again, but no,
nice
as you
one.
say, he's going to have more freedom this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Telford, obviously last season you had your injuries, but I think you've got obviously bringing in Tate as well, who's a real big talent, and I think he'll add something different to the team as well. Um, we'll end it here then. What's your kind of message to the Telford fans going in to next season. I believe it's the anniversary year as well because you got the same as Swindon. I think it's 40 years.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think all I can say is if the fans are going to show up, then the players are going to show up. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to play in a loud home rink, and it's hard play, like rocking up to a rink and their fans are always behind them. It's tough to get into the game sometimes. So all I can say is be loud.
Nice one. Well, I think we're playing you in pre-season.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we
right.
got you in that second weekend of pre-season, which will be good. So, yeah, we'll see you then. And actually, I've got one more question. Sorry, I forgot to ask it. Obviously, your brother's made that step up to the Elite League, which will be a really good opportunity for him. You're still 22 years old. Have you got aspirations to one day play in that top league as well?
Well, obviously that's every British player's dream, isn't it?
Yeah,
To go and play in the Elite League. I grew up watching games in Coventry, and
yeah.
I was on a two-way with them for a year, and I got a two-way with Belfast last year. So hopefully something comes into fruition. I'll be finishing university after next year, so this time next year I'll be
Okay.
completely done. So I'll
I
have a
saw
lot
your
more
brother
freedom. So
graduated.
yeah, he finished his degree. He's off the leash now, hence why he's off to Glasgow, and I'm happy for him. I'm sure he'll do great there, and he's playing under Corey, who's a fantastic coach. Once again,
Yeah.
he's been around the game a lot. He's going to know like everything there is to know really, and it's only going to be good for his development.
Nice one. As you probably spoke with him, a question I should ask Louis. It can be a funny question. It can be an inside joke. What shall I ask him later?
I don't know. Ask him how long he reckons until he's back in D.
All right, I'll ask him that later. Nice one. Thanks for hopping
All
on,
right.
Rhodes.
Cheers for that, Jack.
Cheers,
Appreciate
mate.
it.
Hello and welcome back. We got a little bit of a double whammy for our Telford Tigers special. We had Rhodes on earlier, and we've got his good friend Louie Newell. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
How are we doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah,
Let's start then, like I did with Rhodes. You kind of grew up in that Coventry system as well.
yeah,
How did you find that? Were you playing with Rhodes quite a bit as well?
yeah. Me and Rhodes always say to each other, we've known each other before we can remember. We've been friends forever. Like I think we started together when we was 3 or 4. Like so,
Really? That
yeah,
young?
yeah. We
Oh,
was
wow.
we used to go to the Blaze games and mess around with the mini sticks and whatever. So
Really? You were one of them,
yeah,
like at the
yeah,
bottom, just playing around.
yeah. Me and Rhodes been
Well,
we try. Yeah.
he was obviously playing defense, so I'm guessing you were the forward in the team.
I was a forward. I was a forward all the time growing up until this year.
Really, you've never played defense before?
When I played for the Lions a bit, but like
Okay.
power play, that was about it. Power play here and there, but not properly.
Okay, we'll get on to last season in a bit. Obviously, Rhodes then left to go to Canada and America. So he
Yeah,
kind of ditched you.
I ditched him first actually.
Did you?
I
Oh,
went
okay.
I went I went to Nottingham. I went to
Oh, okay.
Nottingham halfway through the year before he went to
Okay.
Canada. Yeah,
You played a couple. You played for a few. Well, you kind of developed actually all the way to the men's
yeah.
Nottingham team, the Lions. What was it like going through the Nottingham system?
It was good actually. It was good. Like I feel like Nottingham, obviously Coventry progressed me, but Nottingham took me that extra step
Yeah.
because my first ever session in Nottingham when I was 14, 15 was with the Lions.
Was it?
It
Oh,
was
okay.
that was my first ever session. I jumped on with the Lions and the difference in just stature of everyone. I was this
Yeah.
little kid on there, like it was good fun. But
Yeah.
I remember that sticking out to me that was my first ever session. That Gloss, the coach, still is the coach, put me on.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, it's good they had like a National One team because it's kind of not quite the step as up as the national, but you got quite a good progression as you went up. And
yeah.
what age were you when you played those 12 games for the Lions? Did you literally
I
just
was,
turn
yeah. I
16?
think the week after my birthday, the week after I turned 16, maybe the week of.
Really?
I can't remember exactly, but it was yeah, pretty close to the start of the season, and
Oh,
I've
nice
just
one.
turned 16 and basically played straight
And
away.
then the season after, looking at elite prospects, you were pretty much one of. I'm guessing you were one of their top guys because you got 48 points. You got 20 goals that season. Talk us through kind
Yeah.
of that first proper season within the men's league.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit weird, like because I didn't expect much of it.
Yeah.
My aim going into the season, I said I want to point a game. I said I want to point a game, see how it goes, just feeling it out. And Zach obviously came. That was Zach's first year in England, and for whatever reason, we didn't play together. He was on the first, and I was on the second.
Oh, okay.
But we had one guy who always used to get early changes, and me and Zach used to be on the ice for 2 or 3 minutes at a time together.
Really?
And yeah, I must have played like 40 minutes a night playing for.
Really?
But it, like,
because they only did 26 games in a season, didn't they? It's not as many as the National League.
No.
And I guess were you playing quite a lot of the same teams as well?
I think it was. I don't think we played the same teams too much. It felt.
Okay.
Yeah, like we beat Solway that year, which was massive.
Did you? Oh,
we beat
they just won everything, didn't they?
Yeah. That was we come what? I think we come last still, and we beat Solway. We won like I think we were 7-3 up, and they brought it back to 8-8. And then we beat them in overtime.
No, I think I remember this because it went round on Facebook and it was the overtime winning goal on that.
Yeah, Zach scored the OT winner.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that going on Facebook back in 2021. Yeah, I remember that actually. That must because Solway just never got beaten, did they?
No. They were the team. Like you wouldn't in Solway they never got beat. If you were going Solway, you knew you weren't scoring, and they were putting at least 5 past you.
Yeah, well, that's why me and Charlie have always said credit to them because they did end up making that step up to the National League.
Yeah,
and like taking that next step eventually, anyways.
Yeah.
But then you finally got that opportunity, I guess, with the two-way. With the Steel Dogs. So talk us through kind of making that step up. You did get a goal that season as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember the goal?
I do. Goal? Yeah, I do. It was against Peterborough in Sheffield.
Oh, okay.
And it was, I wouldn't say it was a nothing goal, but we were 3-0 up at the time, I think. And I got to go out with the first line.
Nice.
I can't remember who.
Was that Greg Wood in charge?
Yeah, Woody. Yeah,
great coach.
Oh, yeah. He coached me best of British camps growing up. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like kids camps growing up, and he basically not brought me through, but I'd say he helped my progression a lot growing up through them camps.
And those Sheffield teams as well. You're talking, Alex Graham, one of the most talented players I've ever seen on the ice. Honestly, it's obviously what happened and it's so sad, but you just got to remember the positive. How good he must have been one of the best players you've ever played with.
Yeah. Like he is unreal. It was unreal. Sorry, but he is. There's no way to explain it.
He didn't even have to have any backlift off of his shots, did he? It'd just come off of his stick and it would be in the back of your net, and it was like he didn't even try. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the thing that people don't see, he used to forecheck, but he didn't used to skate. He used to literally just glide up to people, he'd cross-check you in your lower back, they'd go off balance and they'd take the puck off you. And it was unbelievable.
And Sheffield had one of the best lines I think I've seen in like the National League era of Bissonnette, Hewitt, and Graham. Yeah. How cool was that to know if you were losing a game, you just chuck them out and they get a goal or two
it was,
to get you back in the game.
Yeah, I didn't play a whole lot that year on a two-way, but me and Mikey Daneko, we used to sit on the bench and we'd be there and they'd score. We'd just look at each other like, what have they just... And the second line, they had what? We had Bonner.
Boycer come in, didn't he?
I wasn't there that year. That was the year after. But
you had Spur as well.
Well, for a while, Alex couldn't break onto the first line because Spursy was on the first line.
Yeah,
but
was it Valdix?
Yeah.
Valdix. Yeah, and he was an older guy, but he was so smart with the puck, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, probably a lot of people don't know. He shouldn't have been playing. He couldn't take face-offs, even though he was a centre.
Really?
He was injured throughout everywhere of his body. Yeah. And he came in. He didn't play as soon as we got qualified for the playoffs that year because it was the
head-to-head one, just one home, one away.
No, it was the same as this year.
Oh, okay, the group system.
Yeah, the group system. but I think he played 4 games and we were qualified.
Oh,
and
so
he
you
just said,
him.
Yeah. And it was he just said, I ain't playing. Like,
I don't blame him because I remember that Coventry weekend. Were you with the team in that weekend?
Yeah, I went.
Oh, wow. Talk us through that.
On the ice. I was on the ice for the last minute.
We
Because
are.
we'd already won.
Because it was 4-1, wasn't it? Against Milton Keynes.
4-2, I think.
4-2.
I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. 4-1, 4-2. But
it was either one of them. And
Alex scored an empty netter.
Yeah.
After
it's just that team, honestly, Greg Wood did not get the respect which he deserved, did he? He was such a good coach to be able to manage that team. And obviously you've just said there that he integrated you with some of the top guys as well.
Yeah, Woody was a good coach. He's a good guy as well. Like he's living his life now.
We need to actually, we need to get him on the pod. He said he'd come on at some point, but we need to find time to get him on at some point to tell us the stories. But you eventually made it over to Telford. Talk us through kind of the move getting over to the Tigers.
Well, I don't know if you noticed. I didn't play ice for a year basically.
Yeah.
And I was at the Dogs, and Woody weren't the coach the year after.
Yeah.
And I just messaged Tom off a whim, just like I hadn't signed anywhere.
Yeah.
This is like I was planning on playing roller back in Spain. That was where I went. That year.
I was going to come on. Carry on.
I was meant to be going back to Spain, and probably I was speaking to Rhodes, and Rhodes was like, just message Tom. I was like, all right, I'll give him a message. And he said, come down to training camp. We'll see how you do. Like, obviously I knew Sam, growing up with Sam.
Yeah.
And then after training camp, Tom was like, do you want to come on board? I was like, well, yeah, of course I do.
And Tom's one of those guys, isn't he, who he's always been so good at integrating those young players within the team, giving them the right opportunities. And that first season, that was kind of your breakout season, wasn't it, in the National League?
Yeah. I had a bit of a slow start, and I probably didn't get a point for 20 games.
Really?
Yeah. I think, and then I think I was a point per game for my last 30.
Yeah.
But I started terribly. I had an absolute shocker at the start to the season.
No, but that's the thing. Like with Telford, they always end the season so well. The second half of the season is just Telford just push on, and they're such a hard team. I was saying it with Rhodes. Like, what is it about that Telford team which you just always know you're going to push on and get that playoff spot?
I don't know. We just seem to have a confidence in the room. Even like when we're losing, you obviously get a bit down, but as soon as we pick up one win, I find the confidence just comes and comes. Scott's a good captain to have there. Like he keeps everything going. Like even when times are tough, everyone. It's a good group, especially last year. The years I've been here, everyone's been very close. So I think that helps a lot.
Nice one. Last season, then you start the year in forward, and then loads of defensemen getting injuries. Obviously, Danny was out for a bit. How did it come about? What was the conversation where Tommy was like, we need to get you in D?
Well, I played like probably 4, 5 games the year before in D.
Okay.
When we had a couple guys out, and then Archie came in.
Mate,
so I was like, sound, I want to play forward anyway. And we've got Archie at the back. So it was fine. Like I was more than happy to let Archie take the reins. But that was... I played, and Tommy said, he was like, you played really well indeed, but obviously we want you as a forward. We signed you as a forward. We don't want you back there. And then the year after, he kind of said, I played the 2 friendly games against Swindon actually as a forward, and then I played the other 2 friendly games against Peterborough as a defenseman. And Tom said, we don't actually know where you're going to play yet. But you could be either or. I was like, oh, that's fine. Like I'm happy to do whatever. And then a couple weeks in, injury, and then there I was, and then I stuck. Yeah.
Who was kind of because obviously we saw you in the games against Swindon, but who were you playing with kind of majority of the season?
I played with Rosie a fair bit.
Yeah.
I kind of started off with Deeks.
Yeah.
Me and Deacon were together, and then Rosie started coming back in, and Jake actually, I was playing with Rose. It was a lot of switching. We were trying to find. We kept losing, so we were trying to find them lines. And I think when Jake ended up getting injured, that was when kind of me and Rosie stuck, and Rhodes. I can't even remember. Rhodes played with everybody as well. Like
he said Harden. He said he ended up.
Yeah, when
Harden.
at the end of the season it was Hards, but DY is like. Yeah, he played with Ryan a fair bit actually. He played a good few games with Ryan. Ross Connolly, he was. everyone was kind of everyone, but I'd say Rosie was my main D partner.
Obviously, playing defense a lot last year. Yes, you would have loved to have been able to play forward, but what kind of things did you learn playing as a defenseman? And do you think it will help you going into next season, getting that full-time kind of forward role?
I'd say so, definitely. Like in terms of the appreciation for what the D-men do, it's crazy. The amount of shots I had to block this year compared to what I usually do.
I bet you got a few more bruises.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So many blocks. That like I was always not. I didn't block shots, but like I wouldn't block a lot of shots. Everyone used to take the piss out of me, like, you don't, you barely block a shot. I'm like, well, I'm in a good place. I don't need to block a shot, but indeed you have to, don't you? You just, everyone, Pecs made me appreciate that as well. Jaden Pecker.
Yeah.
He just used to sit in shot lanes, but
him, I remember that season actually, him and I've forgotten his name. This is so bad of me. Jesse Sutton. Sutton. They ended the season so well, and they kind of got used to the National League. But then you bring in Thompson and Henderson, and that kind of changed your season the second half. How cool is it being able to just give the puck to them and do their thing?
Yeah, they're good. They are good. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's crazy how different they are. Like,
I was saying this with Rhodes because Thompson's got that bit of swagger. He's the goal scorer. He loves giving it a bit to the fans, the opposition fans. But Hendo's that calm guy.
Yeah.
He'll play the puck. He'll take the shot if he needs to. And I think they just complement each other so well.
Oh yeah, you'll walk away from a game and like Tomo's gone through the legs and he's sniped too, and like. And then you look at the game sheet, and Hendo's got 7 points. and you're like, you don't even realize when you watch him because he's not fancy, but they're both so good in their own ways.
And you got him back next season, and we'll get on to next season because on paper and fingers crossed, the injury riddles are gone. You've got a much depthier team. You've got obviously brought in a couple new faces as well. Tate, you've brought in Henry in defence. You've got Norton to help out Brad as well.
Yeah.
How excited are you to play back and forward?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It'll be nice having Ben at the back end as well, helping out because Ben's a good goal. Again, we grew up playing with Ben. Like he was at Coventry for a couple of years.
Was he?
I don't know if you do that. And his brother Dan came, and then Ben came for I think just a season, maybe 2. But I remember just him standing on his head every game because we didn't have a great team really. I've
had a few chats with Ben. Such a nice guy, but he's quite quiet. Just gets on with his job and. Especially at Bristol when he was facing 60 shots a night, I think it will be quite a good little healthy kind of partnership with Brad this year, and he actually gets to have a few nights off.
I think Brad will be loving it. I think
that's exactly what Rhodes said.
Yeah, I think Brad will be loving it because it will be nice in training as well because Ben will be competing for that spot, and he will. Like Ben wants to start. Yeah. Ben will want to start every game, and with Brad obviously wants to start, but he's Brad. Like he does his thing.
I think it'll be good for Brad because he won't have to play 54 games, and it does have an effect on you. And I think you can get that healthy 1-2. But looking at kind of the team, the forward core, it's quite a depthy forward core, and I was speaking to Tom, and he said it'll be great to maybe play with you again this year. But you've also got Finn, who's not returning, so you could be playing on any of those lines. I think it will just be a really good opportunity for all, like Tate coming in as well. It'll be a good kind of like healthy kind of rivalry between everyone to get those spots.
That's what you want in a team, though. You want everyone competing to be in the top six, to be on the power play, penalty kill. Like, you want guys to not know they've got a spot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it's not anything against each other in the team. Everyone knows what you got to do.
You're all there for the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone wants the spot, but
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's up to Tom if you get it. Like,
and I think actually with the extra imports, a lot of the teams naturally do have a lot more depth. So those third and fourth lines are still going to be so important as well as those top guys. And I think especially in the EPL days, it's so important to have a big team. And I think that's so good that Telford have a lot more depth this season, and Tom's put a lot of time in recruiting those right depth pieces.
Well, I think we had the depth in forward terms last year.
Yeah,
as you're seeing, like,
it's just you and Arden had to bloody get.
Exactly. Like, you don't expect what we had, kind of thing. We got halfway through the year and we was looking at each other, was like, has this ever happened to anyone ever before? It was crazy.
It was, yeah. Talk a bit about your roller then, because there's a few players I know Jack Brammer's done a bit of roller hockey. There's a few players who do it, but I've heard you're very good at the old roller hockey.
I'd say I'm probably better than I'm on ice. If we had a pro roller league in England, safe to say I probably wouldn't be playing ice hockey.
Really?
Yeah.
What's kind of the main differences? Because I don't actually know too much about the roller hockey.
4 players on the pad instead of 5.
Okay.
It's a lighter puck. It's a much lighter puck.
It still is a puck. It's not a ball.
Yeah. You can play with ball. There's ball and puck, but I play puck, but I don't really know. There's non-checking. It's not full contact. It's part contact, but you can't like blow a guy up like you can in ice.
And is that kind of you playing that alongside your ice hockey?
We train. Well, I train every week.
Yeah.
It's like we train with Rhodes. We go down. Like, I'll train a bit of roller on a Monday night. That's our chill after the weekend.
Yeah.
But in the summer, that's what we do.
That's where the tournaments are actually held. And do you travel? Yeah. I've seen you've travelled around quite a bit with you to play in different countries as well.
Yeah. We've been a few places. We have been a few places.
Where have you been this summer?
This summer, we went to Lloret de Mar in Spain. We played a tournament called Sparta. We come second. Second.
What? Was that in a final? Was it?
Yeah. We come seconds, but hey ho. Not a lot of people were going into the final. Guys were throwing up and whatever.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you know. We had Rhodes was on the team. Johnny McBean.
The Scottish lad.
Yeah. He plays for Dundee.
Yeah.
He was like Max Soden, if you know who he is. He plays for Solihull. He plays for Solihull in the league below.
So a nice little set of players then. What's kind of your plans for the future then? Because obviously you said you'd probably be able to get in it if they had a full-time English kind of league over here, professional. But are you obviously planning to stick out with ice hockey and you can go to those tournaments in the summer as well?
Yeah. It's work basically. I've got to stay at home and work. Like, I need to earn some money and get somewhat of a career. And in Spain, where I was living in Spain, they didn't speak a lick of English.
Do they not?
Like, nah. I can somewhat get about in Spanish, but I can't speak it for any stretch. I used to go to the shop and there'd be the lady would start chatting to me in Spanish and I'd just look at her, CC and walk off.
What would you say? What complements your other one? So do you think you're better at hockey because of ice hockey because of your roller hockey, or do you think you're better at the roller hockey because of stuff you learned from the ice hockey? Or does it work hand in hand?
I'd say it works hand in hand. I'd say when I was younger, I wasn't very good at ice when I was younger. I was just like, I'd sit on the bench for the under-12s team, and then I started roller, and that was kind of when it took off.
Yeah.
Like, I never made conference until I was 15, England, same year. Like, I never really made anything. And roller kind of gained my confidence. Yeah. And then as I grow up, I find they're very much hand in hand now.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the physicality of ice helps with roller because you're trying to dodge hits even though there's no hits. Kind of thing.
Yeah. It's still, people will still do it anyways.
Oh yeah. Especially in America. I've been to they're basically full checking over there.
Really?
Playing roller. Yeah.
Is
But
that
yeah,
have you got a dream of going over and playing in America at some point?
it's just tournament hockey over there. They don't have a league. They don't have a
Okay.
league. They just play tournaments. It's all just cash prize tournaments.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Then all the leagues are in France, Spain, like
The European
yeah,
countries.
Italy. They're the top three in the world. France, Spain, Italy are the best leagues to play in terms of like proper full-time leagues.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll have to see. Hopefully, we'll have to see. You never know what will happen.
Yeah.
I asked Rhodes then, who's kind of his ones to watch for next season. He did say you. But if you could pick someone for next season, who's like a one to watch in the Telford team, who would you choose?
Oh God, we've got a couple guys. Like I'm really excited to see the imports.
Yeah,
Kalen, like
because you haven't
Rhodes.
played with an import D
No,
man before, have you?
no, never. Like I've never seen an import D man play.
Yeah,
Like it's yeah. I hope like I feel like he's going to be sick from
yeah,
what because one of Rhodes's friends played with him.
yeah.
Oh, my mom's trying to call me. Sorry.
That's right.
There we go. Can you still
There you
hear
go.
me?
You're back. You're
Are
back.
you back? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Tyler Summerton
yeah,
is Rhodes, honestly. Like what numbers did he put up last year?
yeah. I know,
Silly numbers. Obviously Tom Hendo, but I'd say look at Tyler. Tyler's a good, especially a depth piece coming into the team.
You reckon?
Yeah, he's a great skater, but yeah, Rhodes, Tyler, them two.
I think with the Telford team coming up a division, it will be good kind of like feeder because they've never really had that proper feeder team from national. It was national two, and then you had to make that step up to national. So it will be good for them to get that national one and then into the national league.
Yeah. No, that will be good. I always said it's too big of a jump.
Yeah,
Like it's like Ryan used to go down there and rip it up. Like he was the best player on the ice when he played for that, and he struggled. Like sometimes in some games, honestly, he used to say to me, especially against Swindon, "You're a big team,
yeah.
like a big size," and he struggles against like the he's twice their weight. Like he's
I know.
like he's
I
not
was saying,
exactly the biggest
imagine
guy.
trying to defend players like Ricky Plant, where he's
Oh
just
yeah,
just leaning on you and you can't
he's
get the puck off of him.
yeah. He's yeah. I played a couple games with Rick that year, like my first season. Oh, he's good.
And then obviously Jason's playing. He's actually player coach, isn't he, for the
Yeah,
Telford team? So they got Jason, they've got Luca,
yeah,
they've got Taylor Stanton as well, who's coming up through the
yeah.
ranks. So they've got a nice little team ready, kind of helping the younger guys so they can progress to Telford as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think it'll be so good. Like in terms of not a lot of teams have that straight feeder from one to national. It's normally like one to the elite league, or like you look at Cov, it's two to the elite league.
I
You've
know.
got like we always say, if a team ever came up in Cov, like we probably would have never left in terms
Really?
of for the progression.
Like
But
a mid-pack team in
yeah,
terms of getting to that next stage.
yeah. That's it. Like it's what 15 minutes down the road.
Well, I'm glad. I bet the Tigers fans are glad that you ended up coming to Telford. And
Yeah.
we'll move on to them. What's your kind of message for them going into next season? Obviously, your 40th anniversary here, I think it is as
It
well.
is, yeah, it is. Honestly, I think the team we've got looks exciting.
It is, yeah.
I'd say it really looks exciting. A lot of the other teams are looking stronger out of the league as well, but
Yeah.
really feel like we can compete. Injuries, fingers crossed, nothing too bad happens.
Yeah.
It happens here and there, doesn't it? But not like we had. But I think they should be excited for what's to come.
Absolutely. We've got you in the pre-season game,
We do,
so we'll
yeah,
probably be coming up to Telford. So if we see you there, we'll say hello.
yeah.
And Rhodes told me to ask you how long until you're back playing D again.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what he said to me. He said, give it a couple of weeks. Someone will do their knee in, and you'll be back. I said, I don't know. It is what it is, isn't it? Like, I was driving back from Cornwall today. My missus goes, "What are you going to do if Tommy messages you?" I say, "Well, I say, do what you need to do. Like,
Yeah,
it's
you
not.
got no choice.
Yeah, do what you need to do. If I need to play there, I need to play there."
Something I didn't ask Rhodes actually. You've obviously got that Nando's right next to the rink, and we
Yeah.
always, whenever we play away in Telford, me and my family we always have a Nando's before. That's like our Telford tradition.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
all the players get like Nando's like pre-game or something, or they?
No, no, we just turn up to the rink.
Oh, okay.
Some of the boys. It's more like our families go to Nando's. Our
Uh,
girlfriends go to Nando's. Like they all go there, but no,
yeah.
they don't. I wish we had a card. I'd be in
Being
there all the
sponsored by
time.
them and getting free Nando's.
I know, I know. Oh, that'd be the life. Oh, that'd be the life. I'd be there early every week.
Oh mate, I'd get so many Nando's. It's too expensive nowadays.
Yeah, it's good though. It is good. It is good.
Right. We'll see you up in Telford, and
Yeah,
hopefully you can get a full season out of forward next season.
yeah, I hope so.
Nice one.
That'd be
Thanks,
good.
Louis.
Sound.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you very much for the two lads who hopped on. Had some really nice chats with them off camera as well. And obviously we got Telford in that pre-season, so we'll be able to say hello then. But it is a new and I'd say much improved roster in terms of players and yeah, a bit more depth as well. And we'll start in that goalkeeping department, which you mentioned, Charlie. Um, they've got Brad Day, and they finally got a backup, or he could turn into the starter. Who knows? In Ben Norton, and Ben, it was a tough year for him in terms of injury last year for Sheffield. He had some really good games. I remember that one against Leeds, where it was 2-2. He really kept them in it in that first leg. But Dan Crow ended up taking that starter spot, and you've seen his name skipped out of my head. Alex Oxlade, he come in for Sheffield, and he's Ben's decided to go to Telford. I think that's the right move, Dan. And you've got Brad Day, who's kind of getting to the latter end of his career. You've got Ben Norton at the start of his career, and I think it will complement each other quite well.
Yeah, I mean, a goalie position's obviously very hard mentally, and especially obviously Ben Norton's a very young goalie as well. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him, and I think Sheffield, he sort of went to Sheffield with an idea, and I think a lot of those players in that Sheffield team did, and I can see exactly why he went there. But I think as the season went through, he didn't really have that idea come off that he had before the season started. I think the type of environment that they had in Sheffield maybe wasn't the right one for Ben Norton at this time. I think he potentially in the future he could be in that sort of environment, but in that environment, you're going into a group of guys there that want to be professionals. They want to be treated as professionals. They want to reach to the highest standard. They've got the highest expectations on them from obviously off the ice. You've got elite league teams looking at you. You've got elite league coaches looking at you. You've got a lot of competition in that goalie sort of group that they've got. And I think for Ben Norton, he's still young. I think he's still too young to be in that sort of environment at the minute. So I think moving to Telford where he can have a clear role in that team. He can have that clear spot in with the goalie tandem that is there. Obviously, Brad Day, he's a guy that's been around the league for ages. He's obviously a very well respected guy. He's going to be able to learn a lot more off Day than I think he potentially would in that sort of Sheffield
I agree. Yeah.
group because there's just so many of them. So now he's going to be able to get a clear sort of pathway of coaching from off the ice, obviously coaching within with Brad Day as well. So I think for Ben Norton at this time of his career, I think that's a perfect move to go away from Sheffield. He's actually understood what he needs in his career, and he's taken that move to Telford, which a lot of those young guys wouldn't have done because they would have seen that movement and that pathway from Steel Dogs to Steelers, and they would have thought, "Well, I'm just going to wait it out." But Ben Norton's actually been like, "I think I need a change," and he's obviously taken that Telford spot.
Yeah, I think it just didn't quite work out to what maybe we thought it would at Sheffield, and always happens. I always get his name wrong. It's Alex Oldale, not Oxlade. Alex Oldale, for the Steel Dogs. But yeah, I think it'll work well. And I don't know what the split will be, Charlie, but he's Day's been used to playing over 50 games minimum a season, so maybe like 40 games to 20 across all the games I'm on about,
Yeah,
and
it'd be
just the
interesting.
54.
It's tough to know.
Yeah, injuries you
Because
just can't
you've got
predict. So
injuries, but you've also got form. Like we know Ben Norton can get hot. He had a weird year in Bristol. I don't really count that. I don't really count players' Bristol seasons. When they finished 11th and they were getting battered every week. It doesn't really count. his Sheffield time, he had hot games and he had cold games, and he couldn't find that consistency. But if he goes on a two away game spell of, I don't know, a 9-2, you're not going to bench him. So
No.
it's so difficult to know. But I like their tandem a lot more. I think it gives Telford that bit more flexibility, and I think Tom Watkins is a great coach at building good mentalities into youngsters. And to be honest, I want Norton to go on to succeed. He's one of them players I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
I want him to do really well, and I like it when players take steps out of maybe what seems like the perfect Sheffield system, but they join a Telford team who've got a track record of developing youngsters. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that, and he's not the only one who's taken that step as well.
Yeah. We'll move on to the D then, and they've kept obviously Rhodes, which I think was a big keep. Obviously, they've obviously got Daniel Rose, who's I think should be fully fit, ready to go for next season. He started last year, obviously on the sidelines, recovering from an injury, so he should be ready to go. And then you got Jake Price on a full time. You've obviously got Deeks to run that third line, just run someone through the boards, just make his presence known like he always does. And then you've got the import D man, who I can't remember the last time Telford had an import D man. It must have been the EPL days before I was even watching. Because they had Weaver, who was the equivalent of probably you'd say an import. So they never really needed one like that. But Kalen McPhee comes in for the Tigers, the Canadian, 25 years old, just finished his time in the U Sports for the St Mary's Uni. And Dan, he's not got the most points for a D man. He only gets 3 or 4 points a season, but from what we've seen, he's a very good skater. He's played on a good university team, and I think Telford didn't need this all-out point scoring defenseman. They've got enough solid import forwards to be able to get those points. It's the defending and protecting in front of Brad Day and Ben Norton, which they need, and also someone to take that load off Mitchell King, and you can spread that between the top two lines now. So I like this little pickup. Obviously, you can't predict what they're going to be like, but from the little clips we've seen, the little highlights package, he looks like a really good skater, smooth skater, and he'll get the puck to Henderson, to Thompson, to Patrick Brown, who we'll talk about in a minute. So I like it, and we'll just have to see if it works.
Yeah, I mean he's 5'10", so he's an undersized D man.
Like Wellesley's
So
height.
yeah, so obviously when you're growing up and sort of growing up in youth sports and stuff like that, you have to be able to be a good skater to obviously use your body in that perfect way to obviously not get hit because you are gonna get targeted obviously on the forecheck and stuff like that. So he's obviously had to do that his whole career, and he's obviously mastered it. He's got that good sort of first step. He can skate up the ice. He's confident to get it past the red line, which is really good, and especially in that pad in Telford as well. It's not the biggest pad, so obviously you could probably skate it past the red line quite easily and sort of get that breakout. But yeah, it's just one of those calm heads. A guy that's got that experience, he's able to just hold that puck that tiny bit longer and maybe look for that certain pass instead of sort of getting
Yeah.
it out quick and sort of missing that pass. He's a guy that he's gonna be able to be confident in what he can do. He's gonna be able to hold the puck and obviously carry it up and yeah, get that first pass off quick and sort of get those forwards out on the attack and probably quarterback maybe a power play. Obviously run the blue line as well. So yeah, he's the guy that can do everything for Telford, I think.
Yeah, he's going to chug up minutes as well. They haven't got the perfect decor, I'd say, because as we said, it's so hard to get Brit D men, Charlie. But he's going to chug up minutes, 25 minutes a night. And you actually were saying just before recording, you think they could play Rhodes and Kalen together, possibly.
I think they should. Personally, I just think Rhodes has proven he can soak up minutes, and why not get these guys out on the ice 25 minutes a night, have like a Price, Rose second pair, and then Fielder and this Finnish guy. Ryan Lease hasn't re-signed yet. I don't know whether he is. I'd expect he is. He's a Telford lad. But yeah, I just think they've got a good 1-2 punch now in the D zone, which is always useful. You've got two guys you can rely on in any situation. And Yeah, the guy I'd probably compare him to. I know he's slightly taller, but Noah McMullen was a guy who was quite small, who didn't have loads of points in the U Sports. But it'll be interesting to see what he's like when he comes over because he's coming to a worse league where he's going to be more of a dominant player and he's going to
Yeah.
play top 10 minutes. So some guys adapt really well and some guys struggle. So be interesting to see which category he fits into.
Yeah. On to the other new D men who we'll just touch on quickly is, oh, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, Henry Kovaka, who's a Finnish young D man, 21 years old, 6'2". His youth team was the MK Storm, actually, and he did a brief spell, where he played one game for the Wildcats too, before moving out to Finland for 3 years, and playing 20 games over in the Australian League. But 6'2", Dan. You don't. You're not going to chuck him out there on the top two lines, I don't think, straight away. But it's someone who we've said many times in this preseason of low, low risk, possible high reward signing, and he's got looks like he's got the size and the height to fit in the national. So he's just got to get used to this men's league.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's one of those low risks. You don't really know what you're going to get from him. He's very young. Obviously went out to Finland at a very young age, which is always good. He's going to have learned a lot more out there than he would have obviously playing out in the UK. So he's been able to sort of find a play style that sort of works for him, and now he can sort of come into the UK, come into the National League, and sort of try and master that play style in the UK. You might change up a little bit. You never know. You don't really know what happens when these guys come back to the UK. They sort of learn new things that they didn't know before. But he's under Tom Watkins. Obviously, that's a great coach to be under as a young guy. Um, Tom Watkins is going to be able to give him the minutes that he needs, but not overplay him and sort of put him out of his confidence level. You want him to be sort of confident on the puck. You want him to gain a lot more experience at this level, and potentially, yeah, he's a guy that could obviously grow into this team and really be a big part of it. You just don't know, but to get him young and sort of get him in early and sort of get him up to this level is always a good thing.
And his dad, Antti Kavaka, played played in England. He played 5 seasons or 6 seasons for the Peterborough Phantoms in the EPL. So yeah, if he could turn out like his dad, that's a nice little player that Telford will have on their hands. So that completes the decor. Possibly Ryan Lee signs back as of recording. He hasn't signed yet, but we'll have to see. And also Connolly, who didn't get announced, who's not on the elite prospects, but he's back as well for Telford. And he's just struggled so much of injuries, hasn't he, throughout his career? It started, I think, in that injury in Swindon, which he got for the Raiders. But yeah, that's the decor. Moving on to the forwards then, and we'll start with the big re-signings of Henderson and Thompson. Obviously, we chatted about them so much in that first part of the episode, so we don't need to go into them too much. But the fact, Charlie, they've managed to re-sign both of them. I know Thompson signed before Henderson, but the fact that they've managed to keep Henderson and Thompson, that is just, you'd be buzzing if you're a Telford fan.
Yeah, I can imagine there was some clubs sniffing around them
Oh,
two
yeah.
guys. And yeah, it's a big re-signing for the club. They've got a weird track record of getting great imports in, but them only staying 1 year.
Yeah.
The Canadians, Herman, and even like Sutton and Pekka only stayed one
Florian
year.
as well.
Florian. So they've had this kind of cycle of signing these imports. They tear up the league. They go on to a different place, which is fine, but it's great to have that consistency, especially when it's a four import league this year. And if you hadn't have kept them, you'd have had to sign four brand new imports, which would have been tough. So I'm glad they've managed to keep two of them. And yeah, it's the two best ones to keep. Henderson, he's one of the best guys in this league going forward. They can choke up minutes, and then Thompson, like I said, I could see him being in the top 5 point scorers of this league. I really think Thompson's got a ceiling, at least top five goal scorers. To have a 40 point U Sports season player in this
Oh,
league is pretty insane.
they signed for elite
Looking at
league
you're
teams,
looking at
really.
Miller's never had that. You're looking at the guy who just signed for Steelers. Gentle had a 46 point year. Like you're talking a very high CV player, so it's very good.
The import forward who joins them is Mr. Patrick Brown, announced really early actually. Import centre again, just come out of the U Sports, 25 years old, 6'2", 88 kg. And he got 9 points last year in the U Sports, but the year before that, 18, 17, and 13. And he got that captaincy role as well in that fourth season, Dan. Really exciting. Played OHL in his juniors as well, which is obviously those top junior leagues. And it's a 1-2 centre punch of Thompson and Patrick Brown. It's just lovely to have, isn't it? Knowing you've got your probably most important position forward wise in your two centres, bang, import.
Yeah, and this guy's gonna bring in a totally different style of game. Like looking at his clips and the way he can play at both ends of the ice. I just feel like this guy's gonna tear up this league. I just have a feeling that he's gonna be able to do something special. It'll be interesting, I think, for me, is how he settles into the league. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's the big thing with these imports is when they come into the UK for the first time, it's a lot different, and they're going to have to come into this league and really sort of get used to it quickly because these imports are relied on in this league a lot more than they would be obviously playing in Canada and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, like you say, having those two centre spots as your imports, your most important guys on in your probably forward core, is a lot of it keeps Tom Watkins happy at least. But yeah, if he's quick on the draw, keeps the defensive stability up, puts up some points in forward as well, they've got a perfect impulse centre there, and I think that's exactly what Patrick Brown's going to do.
Yeah. It'd be interesting though, Charlie, because there is no Finn Howes next year, which is the biggest loss for them. He leaves the club and over a point per game player. Well, not leaves the club. Sorry, he could play for the twos now and again, but he can't commit to playing in the National League for a full season. So that is a big loss. But they announced the signing of Tate Shudra. Now he's probably not quite at the level of a Finn Howes or in terms of point scoring, but definitely a skilled player who I don't think we saw the full potential of at Sheffield. And if used right, which I guarantee probably will be under Tom Watkins, who's a very good coach at what's it called? Implementing forwards into the team. I think it's a great pickup, and he could push into that second line to play with Patrick Brown.
You're still on mute, mate.
You're on mute, yeah.
I'm on mute. Before I go into Shudra, I do want to mention Finn. What's his name?
Finn Howes.
Yeah. Because
Stay on mute, mate.
it's absolute. It's a massive loss for them. It's a huge loss. He's a franchise piece, to put it simple. He's the type of guy, the Brit guy. For Basingstoke, that Brit is Zach Milton. For Swindon, that Brit is Glenn Billing. For MK right now, that Brit is Jordan County. For Leeds, that Brit is Kieran Brown. I know some of the guys may be a level above him or whatever, but it is the Brit which scores your points, your go-to Brit point scorer, and that is a huge loss for Telford. And it's one which you can't replace. You cannot replace that like that. You can replace it with depth, which is exactly what they've done, but it's a big miss for them this year, and they will struggle in games without him. Having that relying Brit, I do think that in the next 2-3 years, they're going to be looking to develop or find that guy who can score you over a point a game and be on your top line with the imports.
Just to put it in perspective, sorry, 58 last year, 81 the season before, and 67 the season before that. And I think he only got less points last year because there was a bit more point scoring around him with Henderson and Thompson and
he wasn't on that
Ferguson.
line.
Yeah, he wasn't even on that line. He's running that
on the
second
lines
line with
the
Mackenzie.
best players. And that's no diss to him. He was doing that as a secondary line scorer, which is more impressive. That year he got 80 points. He played with Luca and Mackenzie, I remember. It was a sick line. But yeah, I wish Finn Howes the best of luck. I believe it's to do with work, so smash the career there. But on to Tate Shudra, a guy I think we've had on this podcast. It's a good signing. It's a good signing. Where does Tate Shudra's potential lie? I can't tell you that. I don't know. But can Tate Shudra push his game up this year to half a point a game, maybe 2/3 of a point a game, if people know what I mean.
30, 40 points a season, for example.
Yeah, that's just the way my brain works. But yeah, he'll be getting a point every 2-3 games. And so I think it will be interesting. It'll be an interesting signing. I think there's 5 guys in that top 6 for me who are pretty wedged in, which is the 3 imports, Scott McKenzie and Harry Ferguson. And then you've got a 6th spot, like Jack said, most likely on the second line, who I'd guess would be with McKenzie and Brown. And I think that spot could definitely be given to Tate Shudra if he works hard, finds that way. And I even remember, this is a little memory of Tate Shudra. He played against Swindon and he played on their second line for Steel Dogs. I think it was Sommer and Phillips on that line, and he got a sick tip in front of the net.
Yeah.
And I think he has got the potential. I always liked his attitude when he came on the pod. And I think as much as it's not Finn Howes and you can't expect him to be Finn Howes, you can expect him to be Tate Shudra, and he's going to go do that at Telford.
Yeah, he's 22 years old, or 21 years old, so plenty of time for him to grow and develop. But Dan, the third line, we talked about it, is a big addition in terms of you get Newell back in forward, which I think he'll be playing. Charlie's setting off silly emojis. But you'd assume that third line will consist of James Smith, Louie Newell, and Tom Byrne, who took a step up last year. And if they can get a good amount of games together, they can create some chemistry and kick on, I guess, because the third lines are improving in the league. Their squad, I think, is still looking a bit thin in terms of, I think they've still got a couple more players to bring in. Who they are, we don't know yet. But from what we can see, those guys will probably make up a third line, maybe one of them on the fourth line. We'll have to see. But it's good having Louie Newell back at forward. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, the big one for me on that third line is James Smith.
Yeah.
Last season he he was unreal, really. He sort of no one expected it to be like that for him.
24
But
points.
looking at his points, yeah, he's obviously got 24 points last year, 19 points season before, then 24 the point before that. So for the past 3 seasons, he's been a consistent point scorer. And I think we talk about people taking a step up. Obviously, he's not going to take that massive leap, but I think he could take a step up next year. I think he could be hitting near the 30-point mark if he's really on it from the get-go. Because I remember last season he wasn't straight away like the player he was at the end of the season. Sort of took him a bit of time to get into his role and stuff like that. But now he's got that role. I think going into next season, if he can really hit the ground running, I think he could potentially be hitting that, yeah, like I say, 30-point mark. And to have that on your third line is massive. Having that point scoring in depth is, like we've said on the other podcast, is so important. And he's a guy that can play to any scenario. He's not afraid to drop the gloves, like we saw in playoffs. Obviously, when he fought Bricknell, he's not afraid to turn the table like that. He can throw the body, really heavy on the forecheck as well. So he's a guy that can play to any scenario, and he's a guy that Tom Watkins is going to be looking at now. To if he needs a guy to set the tone, he can send him out there. Need a guy to get that greasy goal, he'll do that. He can fit on any line. If he needs to go up to the second line for injuries, you say, he can do that. And I think James Smith is a guy that is going to go under the radar again, but he's a guy that's going to be noticed a lot more than he did last season.
Yeah, I remember that. They had the fight and then give each other a little fist bump in the penalty box after. I love that. Great guy, James Smith. But that wraps up the roster. As we said, a couple more guys could be brought in. They got some exciting juniors in the National One, obviously. What's his face being the main one? Oh, Taylor Stanton, that's it. Had a really good year with the Telford Twos last year. Obviously, bigger challenge in the National One this year. Expectations then, and I'll start with the expectations from my point of view. I think they've got to make that playoff spot, and they've really got to try and have a good start to the season. We know they're going to end a season well or have a good push into the playoffs, but I think a playoff spot is a minimum, and I'm not expecting them to get top four, but if you can either make Coventry or get into the semi-finals of the Cup, I think that's a step forward from last season. Obviously, they're known as a team who makes Coventry playoffs a lot, but if they can make that semi-final, hit the ground running straight away. Those import forwards can really pick up the points. They're a really good home team. Yeah, I think minimum playoffs, maybe that kind of fifth to seventh is where I put them in that range. And if they can make a semi-final, either at Coventry or in that cup semi-final, I think that's a solid little season for them. Charlie?
Well, my expectations, they have to make playoffs. This roster's good enough to make playoffs. I wouldn't like to see them in eighth. I'd like to see them above eighth. Don't finish on the playoff borderline. Finish in that seventh spot. I think they can definitely push to try compete with the Peterboroughs and the Sheffields. For me, I've got Peterborough and Sheffield around that sixth and fifth spot, and I think this Telford team can. And like you said, just start the season well, be consistent throughout, develop your young talents in the squad, battle in the playoff group. I've not got crazy expectations for this team, but similar to last year, just a bit more consistency and just as keep seeing this team take step forwards through individuals. I think the Finn Howes loss for me probably drops my expectations slightly from saying you need to be with the Peterboroughs and the Sheffields to you need to compete with that area. And then I'd also like to see them, if possible, I'd like to see them beat every single team in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see them get 6-0 by anyone. I think this team's capable of beating every team at home in the league.
Yeah, the thing is, when they play Leeds, they have such good games with Leeds, but they can't quite actually get that dub. But Dan, similar to what me and Charlie are saying.
Yeah, so yeah, pretty much what you just said. Obviously, playoffs is going to be big for them. I think they had the same scenario last season where they brought these guys in, had a lot of high hopes for what they had planned, and obviously it didn't go well. I think, like Charlie said, they need to be more consistent. They're really good at home, but they need to start getting these road wins. So they need to improve on that, and that'll help them obviously build up the table as well. And yeah, I just think the biggest thing for them is consistency. Just getting a big run of games going, being able to beat these, like you said, they've got really good games against these top end teams like MK. They're really good against MK at home. They're really good against Leeds. They obviously beat Swindon as well. But they just need to do the same to these smaller teams and sort of the teams that they should be beating, the teams that they're around. They need to be beating those guys home and away and sort of just being able to consistently grow up the table and sort of get those points that they deserve. Really,
I think they had a lot of goals conceded last year. So if they can get down heavily, and I think the import forward will massively help that as well. I'm excited for the Tigers. Can never rule out the Telford Tigers and Tommy Watkins. Ones to watch then. Let's finish it with that. Think you both know who I'm going with. So I'll go last on this one. Dan, we'll come back to you first.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go too much into it because I sort of spoke a lot about him, but I'm going to go with James Smith.
Nice.
Um, Sort of just the same as what I said really at the end of like the little segment that we had. So yeah, just a guy that can obviously he's got a bit of a higher potential, I think, this season, and he's going to have a better year in my opinion.
Nice one. And we should have a consistent third line to
Yeah.
play on as well. You never know. He could be a guy to step up onto that second line. That's the thing. That second line spot is wide open. Charlie, who's your ones to watch?
I'm gonna go for Louie Newell.
Nice one. Yeah.
I didn't interview him, but I think he's 21. He's going to be hungry to be playing forward again. He's got an opportunity, like I said, like we've all said, that second line spot is open. And he's 21. He's learnt a lot. Tom Watkins definitely probably trusts him quite a lot now, and I think he could be potentially that guy to step up. And if not, if there's a D injury, you know he's going to be there. If there's a forward injury, you know he's going to be there. So I think Louie Newell will have an important role. He's a good depth piece, but he could be taking that step forward from a depth piece to a top six piece.
Yeah, and he might from playing D. He was saying to me off camera how much he learned from playing D, and that could actually help him when he goes back to forward. In terms of how to see the game a bit more and how to take on D men. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mr. Patrick Brown. Thank you for not picking him because that would have completely ruined mine. But I'm just so excited for him. I think they've got their top two guys in Thompson and Henderson. And then you add this guy who I know he had less points last year in his U Sports team, but he obviously was the captain, so maybe he wasn't obviously relied on as much for those points. But yeah, really good point scorer, centreman. I love a good import centre, tall centreman. I'm excited for him. 6'2" as well. I think it's exactly what Telford need on that second line. So I'm excited for them. I think Telford fans should be excited. Obviously, their 40th anniversary season, a bit like Swindon as well. And yeah, I'm expecting some good battles for Telford this season. Anything else to add? I don't want us to just keep waffling because I think this episode's gone quite long with the 2 interviews. No,
Yeah, I've got nothing to add. I think we've covered it all, really.
no. Jason Silverthorne, good luck in the national one. Him, Luca. Do you reckon they play on the same line, or do you reckon they split them up? Because obviously Silverthorne's
Nah,
player
split them up.
coach.
Split them
Yeah,
up. Silverthorne plays second line. Luca plays top line, and Snipes 50.
Luca and Stanton had a great little partnership. Luca could probably be his dad, actually. The age difference between them. But yeah, good little system, great club, great fans, and a really nice set of players as well, Telford.
Good
So,
Nando's.
oh yeah, we'll be back there if we go to the away games for the Nando's. Dan, will you still go there when the Bison play them?
Yeah, I mean, if I've got someone to go with, I'm not going to sit on on my own.
Yes, it's gonna be weird actually thinking about it. But like our social medias at Macca's Talk Hockey, as I said, go check out the whole special if you haven't already. And we've got 9 more to do. And the clubs are pretty much finishing up their rosters now. So we'll see you in the next one, whenever that will be. Peace.